For another news update for January 9, 2024. And in the news this afternoon, opposition urges government to quickly conclude public sector wage negotiations. Opposition spokesperson on finance and the public service, Julian Robinson, is calling for the Ministry of Finance to move swiftly to conclude the negotiations around the public sector compensation review to prevent further disruptions in essential public services. Mr. Robinson highlighted the need for transparent and collaborative dialogue between the government and the representatives of the affected public sector groups to ensure a fair and satisfactory resolution for all parties involved. Last week, there was industrial unrest among lecturers at both the University of the West Indies and the University of Technology. There was also unrest among dental surgeons who are employed within the public sector system. And this week, we are seeing court reporters, stenographers who are also restive as well, he pointed out. It is important that the government moves very quickly to conclude these negotiations so that we can have industrial harmony within the public sector and that these groupings feel that their issues and the problems that have arisen in the compensation review are being adequately addressed and being done in a timely manner, Mr. Robinson reasoned. JTA and the government agree on payment of outstanding allowances starting April. Jamaica Teachers Association President Leighton Johnson says he is relieved that there is now an agreement in place on some outstanding allowances left hanging when the new compensation package for teachers was signed last year. There is always some amount of relief on the basis that these matters have been settled. From inspection, we from the JTA maintained our position that what was agreed to was not what was implemented, Johnson told the news on Monday. He noted that what was offered during negotiations, which culminated in December, had to do with the implementation of teachers' graduate allowance as well as the remote inducement allowance being calculated on the current salary scale. We fought for that to increase the payments, and we are now in receipt of that, said Johnson. So from our insistence, I'm really happy that the government has seen the error and has taken immediate steps to correcting those errors to ensure as best as possible our teachers get at this point what it is that we agreed to, he added as he insisted that the JTA tried to get the best deal from the compensation review process. In a release on Sunday evening, Johnson explained that the graduate allowance and the remote inducement allowance were not applied to the salaries of teachers who fell into those categories arising from the compensation review. After much deliberation and with the insistence of the JTA, the government has now agreed with our position as follows. 1 increment to be given to each individual with a master's degree as at April 1, 2022. 2 increment to be given to each individual with a doctoral degree as at April 1, 2022. Persons in receipt of the remote inducement allowance as at April 1, 2022 will have the allowance calculated as per the new salary scale arising from the conclusion of the compensation review process, he said. In terms of the implementation schedule, Johnson said the new salary is to be paid April 2024 and that retroactive amount for the period April 1, 2022 to March 31, 2024 should be paid in 2 installments, 60% in August 2024 and the remaining 40% in December 2024. The Jamaica Teachers Association wishes to assure its members that we will be proactive and vigilant in ensuring that the calculations are accurately computed. To this end, we will work closely with the Ministry of Education and the Ministry of Finance to ensure that all parties agree on the amount to be paid prior to the April 2024 implementation date and the subsequent retroactive payments due in August and December 2024, Johnson said in the release. Johnson told the news that for the other matters outstanding concerning automatic increment and mileage, the JTA will continue to monitor those events, and from the Jamaica Confederation of Trade Unions position, we will continue to monitor the progress of those 2 items. MID probing Harborview double murder. The Major Investigation Division is probing the shooting deaths of men in the community of Texaco in Harborview, Kingston 17 on Sunday. The deceased have been identified as the 32-year-old laborer Anthony Blake, otherwise called Nick, and the 19-year-old Kevon Fowler, otherwise called Timmy, both of the above-mentioned address. The police report that about 12:30 p.m., residents heard explosions and alarmed them. Upon the arrival of the police, the body of Blake was seen lying on the ground with gunshot wounds to the upper body and head. A search of the area was done, and the Fowler was found lying along a section of the roadway with gunshot wounds to his upper body and head. Both the men were transported to hospital where they were pronounced dead. Investigations continue. Trial date is set for alleged human trafficker. A man who allegedly used the social media to lure an 18-year-old girl into committing sexual acts for money will face a trial on January 22 in the St. James Circuit Court. The offenses were allegedly committed in 2017 while he posed as a talent scout for models. Karen Watson is charged with human trafficking and living on the earnings of prostitution. Represented by attorney at law Donovan Collins, Watson appeared in the St. James Circuit Court on Monday before presiding High Court Judge Bertram Morrison. Initially represented by attorney at law Henry McCurdy, Watson pleaded guilty to the charges in 2017. He later changed his plea and the case was moved to the trial list. The trial was scheduled to begin on Monday, but due to another ongoing trial, it was pushed back to January 22. Watson was remanded. The prosecution's case file revealed that in January 2017, Watson reportedly misled the complainant into believing he was a talent scout and invited her to his home under the guise of offering her a modeling opportunity. He then allegedly held her there against her will and forced her to perform various sexual acts with different men for a fee which he kept for himself. After the complainant was released, Watson reportedly threatened to blackmail her with videos of her performing various sexual acts. The incident was reported to the police and he was arrested in April of that year following a raid on his home. Watson was also charged with illegal possession of ammunition after a 9mm cartridge was discovered during the same raid. He pleaded guilty to the charge and was fined 30,000 Jamaican dollars or 3 months imprisonment by the St. James Parish Court on May 15, 2019. Independent MP George Wright takes action to temporarily fix roads in Hertford, Westmoreland. Following a demonstration by disgruntled residents and the taxi operators over poor road conditions in Hertford, Westmoreland on Monday morning, Independent Member of Parliament George Wright took swift action to alleviate their frustration. Hours after the protest, Wright ordered a truckload of marl to fill the potholes, providing a temporary solution. Wright stated that his calls to the National Works Agency had gone unanswered, leading him to take matters into his own hands. While the temporary fix addresses immediate concerns, the NWA is expected to commence more extensive work in the coming weeks. Earlier in the day, Janelle Ricketts, NWA's Community Relations Officer, told the reporters that the Hertford Main Road in Westmoreland is one of the corridors being given active consideration by the National Works Agency. We are now in the final stages of the procurement process, and we anticipate that in another couple of weeks, we will be able to make an award and also to commence the work along that particular stretch of roadway, Ricketts said. Ricketts noted that the thoroughfare has a drainage issue. On Monday, residents blocked the road with downed trees, debris, garbage, old appliances, and vehicles to protest the deplorable road conditions.